Hi, welcome back to Wall Street Today. I am your host, Greg Roulette, and I am very excited to talk to our next guest because he's helping companies of all sizes to help create retirement plans for their employees. It's a growing crisis in America right now today, and he is helping them to build out these plans. Please welcome my good friend, Steve Kuhne. Steve, how you doing?
Hey, doing great. Great to be here.
Yeah,
Amazing
welcome to
spot.
New York. Beautiful day today to talk about something that so many people are uneducated about or need to be more educated about, which is retirement.
Absolutely.
And I think one of the cool things as I was reading your bio is that you're known as the Retirement CFO. So tell me a little bit about what you do and what that means.
Right. Well, I've been in the business for 25 years, and I started off as a personal financial advisor.
Mm-hmm.
And over time, I kind of graduated over to working with small and mid-sized companies, and basically managing their retirement plans. And I've been lucky enough to be nominated as a top 100 guy in the country by a couple of magazines, Plan Advisor magazine and a few others.
Yeah.
And basically what I do is I help work with these employers, install these plans, help them basically stay in compliance. And really it's about trying to maximize the protection for the employer.
Yeah.
And trying to increase the opportunity for their employees to not run out of money in retirement.
Yeah, I think that's big because you're juggling two sides, right? You're trying to help the company, but you're also trying to help the employees.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I want to talk about how one gets into this. Was this something that you always set out to do, was to help people with their retirement and their finances, or did you stumble into this? What's the origin story here?
Well, like most advisors, when you come into the business, we started off in the personal side of the business. So we're working with mom and pop, as I call them, individuals.
Right.
And I was working with individuals that were not necessarily the 1%ers, but maybe the top 10%ers.
Right.
And good incomes and looked great on paper. And I was a young certified financial planner, a couple of years in the business, actually a little intimidated working with successful people.
Yeah.
And often I was wondering, why were they coming in to see me if they were doing so well?
Right.
And when the conversation started to open up, I started to find out that they had a lot of concerns, and they really had low financial literacy.
Right.
And they had 2 Beamers in the driveway, and they had a nice big house, and I looked at the balance sheet, the cars were leased, there was no equity in the house because they borrowed it all.
Right.
They spent all their time planning for their vacation rather than their financial future, but I found that the only money they ever seemed to have was in their 401k plan. And I just, kind of a bulb went off in my head, and I realized that I wanted to try to improve the retirement savings rates in this country.
Yeah.
And by working one-on-one individually with clients, that was a challenge. If I got into the corporate space, working with those employees, now I can talk to hundreds of employees at one time, and I think make a much bigger impact.
Yeah, I love that word, impact. And you just painted a very true picture of a lot of Americans today, living paycheck to paycheck with the leased car, with the house that they're either upside down on or barely breaking even. When you look at it, what is the state of retirement savings today?
Yeah. Well, to put it mildly, there's a storm coming. I'm actually very, very concerned about the future of this country from that regard. And what we're talking about here is we're talking about 36% of working employees do not even have a company plan offered to them at work.
Yeah.
Other statistics say that 50% of working adults have less than $2,000 saved for retirement. And for the ones that actually have a retirement plan available, they're saving barely 5% of their income, and they have less than $60,000 put away. And they're going to be leaning on a very challenged Social Security system. So we've got baby boomers retiring 10,000 a day, followed by the Generation Xers that are really not saving it enough.
Yeah.
And so that's why I see a storm coming, and I'm quite frankly concerned about my fellow Americans, and I'm trying to put a dent in the problem.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that solution just in a little bit. You said that there are 2 big major concerns that you have right now. What are those concerns?
Yeah, the 2 major concerns are, first of all, as I mentioned, 36% of employees don't have an employer plan available to them.
Yeah.
So these employers that aren't sponsoring a plan, why are they not doing it?
Yeah.
And there's really 4 major reasons. One is that the perceived cost of the plan.
For the employer.
For the employer. They're looking at the administrative burdens.
Yeah.
They're looking at all the liability associated with these plans, and there's a perception that their employees don't care and they don't need it. However, when we go in and do education for new plans, all of a sudden these employees are showing all this interest. So I think when they're educated and they understand it, then they get on board with it.
Yeah.
So that's the first problem. The other problem is we got these employers, there's over 600,000 of them that have rolled out these plans.
Yeah.
They're doing it with good intentions, and all of a sudden they realize that they're dealing with Department of Labor audits, they're dealing with IRS audits, and now they're faced with civil ERISA-related litigation from not only their current employees, but their former employees. And so they're standing in a minefield.
Yeah.
So we got one group that doesn't want to walk into the minefield, and we got the other employees that are in the middle of the minefield saying, how do we get here?
Right.
And that's when I said there's got to be a better way to do this.
Yeah, well, and the great thing is you've created a solution for both of these concerns. We painted this picture of all the problems that are happening right now. What is the solution? How can you help these companies to fix it for their employees?
Right. Well, I went on a 2-year quest actually to go find this, because I was doing a lot of committee meetings talking to employers that were expressing more and more each year of their concerns about this, and I said, we got to do something here.
Yeah.
So I went out and searched for about 2 years, and it's interesting how you can find problems today, or you find solutions to problems today by going to the past. So I actually found a scenario where a bunch of federal banks got together back in the 40s. Okay. They had all individual pension plans, about 10 of them, all in individual buckets. All of them required administration and record keeping and oversight. Right. And bankers are smart people. They say, why don't we get together? Why don't we put all these assets into one bucket, hire one administrator firm, one record keeper, and have this all reviewed? In doing so, they got massive economies of scale. So what I actually did is I went out and found the plan administrative company that did this originally 70 years ago. And they're still here alive and well. Yeah. And that plan now is over $6 billion in it. I went to them and I partnered with them and I said, hey, listen, how can we do this on the 401k and the 403b side of the marketplace? And in partnering with them, I rolled out our private label program called Select Retirement Plans. Wow. And we have a Select 401k version. We're all familiar with 401k, but we also have a 403b version for our nonprofit clients. And it's that solution that I said is a one-step process. Basically what they do is they adopt the program as their own. They take their plan from their individual bucket of money, put it in the collective bucket, and they're able to get these massive economies of scale.
I think that's a great solution. I love this journey that you went on and looking at the past. And through that journey, you've also kind of discovered that you really want to help really everyone to have a higher sense of financial literacy and wellness, which I think is just so admirable today because, like you said, there's a lot of employees who come in and they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what's going on. Sure. But why do you think this is so important and what are you doing to help improve that financial literacy?
Sure. Well, I mentioned earlier that the employees that don't know anything about these plans, when they learn about them, become very interested. Yeah. So I think that employers have an incentive to want to bring this to the workplace. Right. And the larger organizations, the Fortune 500s, are offering financial wellness to all their employees because they're realizing it impacts the bottom line. 60% of employees are stressed out about paying the bills, saving for retirement, managing debt, and they're taking company time to worry about this stuff. They're losing sleep, they're losing productivity, and again, it hurts the bottom line. So the larger employers have the money and the capital to do this, and they've already done it. But there's and the small and mid-sized companies, they didn't have programs like this. So what I ended up doing is I partnered with an elite group of 401k advisors and what we call a producer group. Oh, great. And we went out and we contracted one of these large market players, and we brought them down market to make it affordable for smaller employers. So now we can roll out a program that's got some terrific web-based tools. It's got a CFP helpline. We offer live workshops and seminars at the workplace. And we're trying to empower these employees to get their financial houses in order, reduce their financial stress. And we also do this as a partnership with the retirement plan because we find that the participation and the savings rates go through the roof when these people get their financial houses in order. So that's what we've been doing to improve the literacy of these employees, and I think we're making a big dent in the problem.
You're making a huge dent in the problem, and I love some of the partnerships that you're creating and the way that you're going about this, again, on these journeys and these quests that you call them. And I think there's a lot of small businesses, mid-sized businesses, whether it's the owner, if it's the COO, if it's the HR director who's watching right now, and they say, you know what, Steve, we need this for our company. If they're watching this right now, what's the best way for them to take that first step, learn more about how you can actually help them?
Sure. Well, they can go to my general website, which is retirementcfo.com, which I stole the name from a couple of clients that basically were calling me that over time. And I said, let me get that URL. It makes sense. It really embodies what I do. Yeah. So they can go to the Retirement CFO website, or if they want to go to the product-specific program, it's called selectretirementplans.com. They can learn all about our solution. They can learn about the financial wellness. And if they're interested in what they see, it's very easy for them to request a proposal, provide us with a little basic information on their company and their plan. We'll reach out to them and see if our solution is a good fit for them.
That's great. Two great resources that I hope that everyone watching goes and takes advantage of, and you can continue to make an impact in the lives of not just the companies and the business owners, but more importantly, all these Americans who need these types of plans. Steve, thank you so much for joining me here today.
It's been my pleasure.
Thanks so much. And we'll be back in just a minute with more from Wall Street Today.